Hey there, class. Let's take a look at the layers panel and just go over some of the basic actions that can happen within it. The first thing that I want to show you about the layers panel that's kind of fun is the ability to sort your layers. This is really handy when you're trying to find things. Maybe you haven't been labeling very much, or you have a really complex layer stack. You can come down here, you can choose an attribute to search. Oops, wrong button. You can choose an attribute to search here in this top menu. Let's say I want to look at things that have a particular name. You can type in that name, Jacket 2 in this case, and then all of the layers that have Jacket 2 as part of their title will come up. If I want to turn this off, I can do that with this little off and on button here. And I can sort or not sort. You'll notice that none of the layers disappear when I do this. It's not changing anything. It's not removing layers. It is not turning layers off. It's just showing which layers in the stack have a certain name. Another useful one might be, turn this back on, to go to kind here. So you can see it resets. You can't do this kind of like multi-attributes at once. I want to look for a kind of layer, and the kinds that I might look for are pixel layers. I might look for adjustment layers. I might look for ones that have type in them, etc., etc. If I click on one of these, boom, it's just going to show me which ones, for instance, have pixels in them. I can turn that off by unclicking it, or I can use this little button over here. Okay, it's up to you. All right, it's usually defaulted towards this, I believe. Now, when I choose a pixel layer, of course I have my blend modes, which is the second line. Great. Now, the third line here, the third menu options, have our fill, which remember is the amount of information from the channels that's coming into the file. And it operates very similar to opacity, but has different source in it itself. But over here on the left, we have the lock features. The lock features are to help us prevent something from happening in relationship to the layer. For instance, let's say that I get my positions of the layers exact, and I don't want them to move at all. I can come into each layer and I can lock the position of the layer. That will keep me from coming in and moving the layer to a different position. As you can see, it says you can't do it. If I want to turn that off, I just come to the layer here and I hit the button up at the top, or I can just click the little lock icon and it will unlock it in the way that it has been locked. All right, the next lock, which is the one over to the far left, is a little interesting. It keeps you from drawing on open pixel areas or transparent pixels. So right here we have a canvas with transparent pixels. That's what this gray grid means. We have our actual pixels here. I'm going to draw directly onto Jacket 4. When I do that, I will come up and grab a brush tool. I'm just going to use standard black. And as you can see, I'm drawing across that pixel layer. Oh, there's the mask that inverts it, so it suddenly goes white. And then it goes black again. But I'm coming over to the edge and it just doesn't draw because those transparent pixels are locked. If I were to turn this off and do the same action here, you can see already that it is drawing on those transparent pixels. So the transparent pixels of this layer are now being drawn on. And you can see that by doing this. It's not that I was drawing on this background here. There is no background. There's just empty space or transparent pixels around the actual pixels in this layer. And I was telling the program not to draw on those or to draw on them. Okay. Let's back up so that there we go. Let me unlock that. This button here really does not allow me to draw on any of the pixels, and as you can see, it's just fruitless. I can't do anything. Voila. Okay. Turn that off. This guy right here has to do with artboards, so we're not going to cover that, but this very last one is like basically lock it all down. So that is like when you're done making transformations and you don't want to accidentally do anything, you can just hit this one and it will close it down. Oh, oh. A little message from Maggie there. Okay, let's go over now and talk about an issue with what we call a background layer. So I'm going to go back to my Lightroom. I'm going to go to a layer. I'm going to go to a file and open it in Photoshop with Command E. So now it's in Photoshop. You can see that it opens up as a background. Okay, when it's a background, it has a lock on it that keeps it from being moved. And when you try to move it, little Photoshop warning comes up and says, the current selected layer is a background layer. You can't move it, you can't change its stacking order, and you cannot change its blending mode or opacity. Okay? Then it gives you the choice to cancel out the command or the warning, or to convert the background layer to a normal layer, meaning one that can be moved around. If you hit convert, you'll see that it goes to layer 0, and the move that I was trying to enact suddenly takes place. All right. I can also do that, let me step back, by just coming over here and hitting this lock button off. And voila, now it is layer 0. I can rename it, I can put other layers in with it, I can change those around. If something is a background layer, it kind of means this is the very last layer and you're putting everything on top of it. Okay? So it doesn't let you move it, it doesn't let you take some other actions with it. However, it will allow you to go ahead and paint on it if you wanted to. All right, that's it for this video.